This is a handover video for an AutoSleepers Stanway. We'll start on the outside of the vehicle. Round on the driver's side you have your gas fill point for your onboard gas tank. At a filling station you remove the cap, attach the trigger and squeeze into the tank. The tank will shut off when the tank is full, or using the hand trigger on the pump you can control the amount of gas that's put in. Reattach the cap after you have finished filling up. This AutoSleeper is fitted with an underslung gas tank which was filled from outside. There is an access hatch on the back of the tank for inspecting the tank and also for isolating and turning off the gas supply. In transit there's no necessity to turn it off, as it has already fitted above the tank a shut-off valve in the event of an accident. However, for your own comfort, perhaps if you're storing the van, you can choose to turn off the gas supply, or if you're boarding a ferry, some ferry operators ask you to turn off the gas supply at source when in transit. Unscrew to turn the gas supply back on. To reattach the cover, insert the top end into the slots first of all. Make sure the flap is open at the bottom, and as you twist round it should grip and locate into position, giving you a tight seal onto the side of the cover. Located on the driver's side, adjacent to the filling point for your gas, is your gas onboard tank level indicator. With the ignition running, a series of LEDs will light up, giving an indication as to how full the tank is. For the purposes of demonstration, we have filled this tank. In addition to the isolation tap, which is underneath the van for the gas, in the centre locker in the back of the vehicle you have individual isolator taps for the individual appliances. Rotate them through 90 degrees to turn on the gas supply to the oven and hob, the gas supply to the water heating, room heating system, and the gas supply to the fridge. Once you've established your gas supply outside, it's advisable to burn some gas off on the hob. This one is equipped with an electronic igniter which comes from your leisure battery, so the control panel will need to be switched on first of all. Choose any burner and use the igniter to turn on and engage the gas. Make sure you've got a good continuity of supply, and it's worthwhile running up all of the burners to make sure that everything is operational and working. Like so. There is a glass lid on these. The glass lid will not shut off the gas supply if it's brought down over the flame, so you must make sure that all the burners are extinguished and that the system has been allowed to cool before you attempt to pack away the hob. For the grill, there's a separate control knob on the end. Turn clockwise for the operation of the grill, which is done at the top. Turn it anti-clockwise, it shuts off the grill. Select the highest value and then use that then to turn on the oven section at the back. On this vehicle is fitted an external gas barbecue point. These connections are running straight from your gas supply. Open up the external flap. This being a brand new one, the connector, which normally inserts up into here, is already provided for you. This can then can be attached to a rubber fitting, which can then go on to an appliance. If you've got an awning located on this side of the vehicle, then obviously make sure that the awning is retracted before you use any kind of barbecue equipment or heating equipment underneath it. Having connected up the supplies, you can then turn on the LPG tap, and that will allow the gas then to go through to that specific appliance. There's a choice of options as far as filling up the fresh water tank. you can use a conventional filler cap, insert the key and turn and fill up using a conventional hose. Alternatively, there's a whale source system on this one. Supplied with your AutoSleeper, you get one of these kits. The idea behind it is that this section is inserted into the outside socket and pushed in and docked into position, and then the opposite end there is an attachment for going on to a standard outside tap with thread or push fit connection if you choose to use it. And then the water pressure alone allows the pipe to inflate and fill up the inboard tank. Having filled the tank up, remove socket efficiently and make sure that the cover is docked back into position. Underneath the vehicle you have your freshwater and grey water tanks. They each have their own respective drain points. There's an external dust cap which you remove first and then twist the outer tap to allow the content of the water tank to drain out. It's important that you do this for winter storage. I also tend to do it during the summer just to stop the system from becoming contaminated through lack of use. Adjacent to it you've got the same fashion for the wastewater. Before you depart onto a journey to return home or leave a site, it's worthwhile driving over a drain point or a gully and draining off your grey water tank. Both of these tanks on this model of AutoSleeper have a heat pad fitted to them which can be turned on and controlled from inside the van to prohibit the tanks from freezing up through the winter months during use. On the outside of the AutoSleeper you have two ventilation points for the back of the fridge. This model comes with two winter covers. First of all, take the splined edge and push up underneath and then clip into position in the first space, and you do the same operation with the upper vent, and that then stops any muck or debris being drawn into the exhaust. Whenever you start using the fridge you need to remove those covers to allow the fridge to breathe efficiently. On this AutoSleeper, behind this cover is fitted an external 12 volt and aerial points. Some sites offer you aerial connections which you can connect to the van instead of you using the roof mounted aerial, and there's an optional 12 volt supply which could be used perhaps for a tyre inflator or any other kind of 12 volt external equipment. On this AutoSleeper there is an external vent which is the exhaust for the water heating, room heating system. It's important that this isn't obscured when it's in operation. Any AutoSleeper that has a microwave will tend to have an exhaust vent fitted behind it as well, just to allow heat dissipation out of the back of the appliance. In the back of the AutoSleeper you have your water heater. This has a thermostatically controlled drain valve. In the event of the air temperature in this space going below 2 degrees centigrade, this valve opens and it allows the water then to discharge out to the bottom of the tank to protect the heater. To reset, turn the tap back through 90 degrees and then push in the blue switch at the bottom, and it closes off the valve to allow you then to refill the water heater. You can only fill up the water heater from the freshwater tank, and that's done by you turning on the hot taps, typically in the kitchen, and drawing the water through the system. There is no means or way of filling up the hot water tank independently. Having established a good continuity of supply through your water system, when you turn it to the hot water tap, you should be able to draw water through at an even rate. If the hot water tank hasn't been filled properly, then you will get aeration or a spitting until the tank has drawn the water through. repeat this process with the vanity unit and also with the shower to ensure that you have the continuity of supply coming through. The trimmer water heater is controlled from this black panel control box. It has a control knob underneath, and on this version this one has the iNet capability, which means that it can be connected to a mobile phone app. So all the functions that we're going to show you in the course of this demonstration can also be operated from your mobile phone. Press the center knob in firmly and you will see all of the characters light up. We'll begin by scrolling with the dial over to the right hand side, and at this point you can turn on just a circulation fan. Select the fan and then increase the speed, and it will start to recirculate air within the vehicle and hopefully keep things a little bit cooler. It's not an air conditioning system, it's merely circulating air within the van. To switch off, reverse the process all the way back down and then deselect by selecting vent and turning it off. This unit has a dual fuel control system. You are able to use gas or mains electric or a combination of both to do your heating of the hot water and also to do the room heating. Select by going into the program and you can choose gas. Mix 1 is a 900 watt electric element combined with gas. Mix 2 is a 1800 watt electric element mixed with gas. If you are on mains hookup, as this symbol illustrates here, then you can use just the 900 watt or the 1800 watt elements on their own without any gas intervention. Having made the selection, you can then go about heating the hot water. So already we've established that we've got the continuity of supply coming through the system, so we can safely go about heating up our hot water. Choose the hot water icon and select either an eco mode, which typically heats the water to around about 40 degrees centigrade, or a hot mode, which will take the water up to 60 degrees centigrade. This icon at the top will start to flash during the heating process. Once that heating temperature has been reached, then the top icon will remain on constantly, indicating that it's reached that temperature. It's a similar story for the room heating system. Choose the symbol that shows a temperature gauge inside the vehicle and then increase it from 5 degrees all the way up to a maximum of 30 degrees centigrade. Registering on the thermostat air temperature sensor, which is next to it, it will start to generate that amount of heat from the gas or the electric, depending on which source you have actually chosen. Finally, you can set up your own clock, and in conjunction with that, you can set up a timer control, which enables you to choose different functions of water heating and room heating, and then coordinate them with a timer function so that the unit will cut in and cut out under your control. To turn the unit off, press and hold in firmly, and it will enable you to switch the whole unit off completely. The 12-volt control panel is located above the habitation door in this model. Turn on the 12-volt supply by depressing the top left-hand button. Switch next to it turns on your water pump, use that on demand, and then the adjacent switch turns on the ceiling light, which can be controlled via individual switches. There's a switch for the outside awning light. You can change over the use of which battery you want, whether you want to use the vehicle battery or the leisure battery, and then your tank heaters for preventing the external tanks from freezing are controlled from here in conjunction with the switch, which is located underneath the forward facing bedseat cushion. Go through your menu options and it gives you your displays and conditions for your leisure battery and its overall charge within the system, and any amperage that's being drawn from the circuit into or out of. You can adjust any time clocks and settings, and then you have an overall levels condition report for both the vehicle and for the leisure battery, your fresh water and your grey water supplies. Turn the control panel off, which turns off the whole 12-volt system by depressing this switch. In your bathroom you have a Thetford toilet. At the front of the toilet bowl you have a grey lever. That lever needs to be pressed over to the right hand side to allow the wastegate to be open. Allow your waste to go through, and then to flush the loo, press down firmly on the blue button at the back, and you will hear water being pumped around the inside of the toilet bowl. The water source on this one is from your onboard freshwater tank. Some models have an additional external water supply for the toilets. When you finish using the toilet, make sure that the lever is secured back into its closed position. If you fail to do this, then it will prevent you from removing the cassette from the outside of the van when it needs to be emptied. When it does need to be emptied, there's an indicator light which comes on top of the control panel to tell you that that's the case. The cassette is emptied by you opening the external door. Just inside, on the lower edge of the cassette, you'll see a blue lever. You should be able to lift up that blue lever and slide the body of the cassette out in its entirety, and quite easily. If there's any degree of resistance, make sure that the wastegate is shut properly inside before you continue, as you may damage the mechanism. Once you've got the cassette out, extend the neck open so that the blue cap can be removed. The blue cap has markings on it so that when you refill, you can dose with either sachets or with liquids, which are then diluted with water to allow the breakdown of the waste that goes into the system. The emptying process, tip up the whole cassette and press down on the blue button at the top, and that will allow airflow to go into the top of the tank and allow the waste to be ejected from the bottom. Always make sure that your digestion chemicals are poured in through here. Do not pour them in through the cassette seal, as this will cause the seal to perish. Having redosed the unit, you should then be able to push the whole thing back into the van and it docks in accordingly. This van is fitted with a Fuel Omnistore external awning. Use the T to go up into the main slot, twist, and then start to unwind the awning. You must make sure that the sliding door is shut, as the bottom of the pelmet can sometimes catch the door if the door has been left open. Wind the awning out by approximately 1 metre and hold. Up inside the awning you have your legs. First of all, retract the legs by pushing in nice and firmly and allowing the leg to fall through your fingertips, and then push down so that the foot meets the floor, and then use the locking lever, extend that upwards to around a 45-degree position like so, and then repeat on the other end. So squeeze in, let it slide through your fingertips, push down to make sure that it makes contact with the ground, and then use the gauge to reconnect. Continue winding the awning out, and as you're doing so, walk the legs out with the van. Underneath the passenger seat you have your vehicle toolkit. Remove the front insert completely. There is a twist lever which enables you then to extract the box fully. Pushing the lever in should enable you to release the lid, and inside you have your basic jack. With this model it comes with an extension funnel for filling up the screen washer, and because this van has alloy wheels and you have a steel spare wheel, there is an adapter kit in here for that use. This model is fitted with Air Ride. Air Ride are two rubberized air chambers which are located underneath the back suspension of the vehicle and can be inflated using a low pressure pump via these two inlets in the same way that you would fill up a tyre. Make sure that they are filled up evenly. You want them operating in the green zones. They are designed to improve the handling of the vehicle when the vehicle is laden. The bonnet release is located on the end of the passenger dashboard. Pull the lever back. Because the engine battery is located underneath the floor, if you do need to jump start the vehicle, you don't have to gain access to that unit. You can do it from under the vehicle bonnet. Pull the lever up, and over on the right hand side you have a paddle lever which the positive can be attached to for your jump lead. The negative is attached to this bolt located here, and you can jump start the vehicle from that point. Other features underneath the vehicle bonnet, you have your oil filler and your oil dipstick, and then over on the left hand side you have your reservoirs for your brake fluid, radiator water and power steering. Over on the extreme left hand side there is a blue inlet which is your screen washer additive. Don't worry about trying to pour water into this particular unit. Located inside the toolkit, which is underneath the passenger seat, there is an extension funnel which is designed specifically for this vehicle to enable that operation to be completed. Make sure that your bonnet is secured firmly before departure. The spare wheel on this vehicle is located underneath the back. You'll notice that this is a steel spare wheel and that you have alloy wheels. There is an adapter in your toolkit to enable you to use the spare wheel instead of an alloy wheel. To release the spare wheel, there is a connector located just here, and within the toolkit there is a winding arm which enables you to lower the spare wheel down to the ground and detach it and then exchange it for the alloy wheel. This vehicle is fitted with an electric step. The electric step control is done via a push button which allows the step to retract. On this model, if the step is out when the ignition is started, after a short delay the step will retract. This is the Sergeant control panel. This is a distribution board for both the 12 volt and the mains within this vehicle. Over on the left hand side at the top you have a black system shutdown button. If this is selected and the switch is raised, it turns the control panel off and it shuts off the entire 12 volt supply from the leisure battery. It also prevents the step from retracting, and it also prevents the engine battery and the leisure battery being charged simultaneously when the vehicle is being driven. Press in, you may well hear a bleep in the background indicating that the 12 volt control has been reselected. Adjacent to that control switch you have a bank of 12 volt fuses for the internal operation of the van. There is a menu located in your handbook telling you what each one of these fuses is connected to, but typically the water pumps, igniters and lights do not up value, always replace with an identical value fuse. Adjacent to this one you also have a separate bank of fuses, and these are the bridge fuses which allow the supply to be exchanged between the vehicle battery and leisure battery, and also into the supply for the fridge and for any other additional equipment that is installed on this van. The mains control is done from behind this panel. Having connected to the supply to the outside of the van via the hookup lead, you should be able to press the blue switch up and complete a circuit test by pressing down on the yellow switch, and it should instantaneously trip out. Push back over on the switch and then push up the remaining residual grey switches, and that will allow main supply to come into the van and go to the various appliances which are installed, but will also include things like your mains sockets as well. The green light is for the battery charger, so all the time that you are plugged in onto mains it is trickle charging your battery. If you're wanting to use the water heater or room heating system on mains electric, you will need to have this switch selected as well. The Thetford fridge has a master on-off switch located over on the left hand side. Press and hold in on that switch for a couple of seconds and the entire display lights up. After a few seconds it will settle down and you have two touchscreen settings which you can access. Touchscreen setting on the left hand side enables you to choose between your mains, your vehicle battery when the vehicle is in motion, and also the gas operation. Gas operation on this one is automatic ignition, no other intervention is required, and if it successfully finds the gas, then the display will go out and you will see that you are left with a tiny green light located just inside the switch. If things go wrong, I'll illustrate by using the 12 volt supply which comes from the vehicle battery, because the vehicle's not in use at the moment. We'll choose that option and you'll see now that the display flashes and also a number comes up indicating in this case that there's no 12 volt supply coming from the vehicle battery, and then you have a red flashing light indicating that the fridge is not working correctly on that function. There's an automatic mode. You can leave it in this mode and it will self-select what it thinks is the strongest supply. So whilst we're connected to the mains, it will choose that. If the mains is disconnected, then it will go on to the gas mode, and once the vehicle is in motion, it'll choose and use the vehicle battery. Thermostatically, you control it on the second selection switch. The more of these white cubes that you can see illuminated, the colder the fridge will become. It's important on this generation that the vehicle fridge is as near level as possible within the vehicle, so use a spirit level on a countertop to make sure that there's no pitch or roll within the vehicle that will affect how the fridge will function, and also that the external vent covers are removed to allow the fridge to ventilate and circulate and get cold efficiently. The latch on this one for storage, there is an extension bar which can come out and then be inserted up underneath to allow a ventilated storage of the fridge door. With the fridge on, you should have two luminescent lights come on at the top of the fridge. The extractor fan on this unit is controlled with an on-off switch that's located into the middle, and you can use it to increase the amount of airflow that's being drawn out of the vehicle, or alternately, once the fan has stopped, you can use it to draw airflow back into the vehicle. There is a separate release handle which can be opened to improve the air circulation and flow that's coming in. As part of your departure checks, you need to make sure that all external vents and windows are shut firmly. Your wind-up roof light, unfold the handle and begin in a clockwise motion, opening up the main lever, and it opens up the main hatchway. Again, for your departure, you need to make sure that the roof light is fully retracted. Stop winding when you feel resistance and fold the lever back into its docking location. On this model you have a fly screen and also a blind as well. Peugeot sliding windows have two buttons that you pull in together and pinch, and that then enables you to slide the opening back. Again, make sure that they're docked into position. Pull down for your blind and pull up for nighttime privacy. Located above the bathroom door, you have an extractor fan for use in the bathroom. On the driver's side of your cab and also on the passenger, you have these two levers which are designed to release and increase the height or decrease the height as you move your weight around on the seat. You have also a backrest adjustment located here and a lumbar adjustment on this model as well. The controls on the vehicle, located down on the right hand side of the steering wheel, you have your headlamp beam adjustment and your rear fog light, as well as access to the settings controls for the trip computer. On the right hand stalk you have your wiper controls and trip reset. You have steering wheel controls for the stereo, and then two stalks on the left hand side, the upper stalk being your exterior lights and indicators, the lower stalk being your cruise control and speed limiter. Ventilation controls, temperature on the top left and speed on the bottom left, directional controls for the positioning of the vents within the cab on the top right, and then exterior or internal ventilation selected on the lower level. In the center you have your hazard light switch, a central locking button, a control button which will heat up the demisters which are located into the rear windows and also onto the door mirrors as well, USB and 12 volt charging points, and then you have your central controls for your stereo unit. Over on the left hand side, a main on off switch and volume control, and then your radio, media, navigation, phone settings along the base. You can operate the stereo independently of the ignition, and it will come on for a period of time before switching off.
The secret.
For the purposes of demonstration, we have to turn the volume down to avoid any copyright issues with the production of this handover. But you can choose either from a DAB setting or AM FM setting on your radio bands, subject to the frequencies that are available. Media devices can be attached via the USB ports at the front. Your navigation is ready and set up for you. Follow the step-by-step instructions and it will take you through this TomTom facility that's on this unit. Settings buttons up here enable you to manipulate the timer and date controls that are on the central instrument binnacle, which is displayed at the centre. Turn off the unit by depressing the button on the left hand side. Located on the driver's door, you have your electric mirror controls. The toggle switch adjusts the two top mirrors only. The bottom mirrors have to be adjusted with your fingertips. And then you have electric window controls and another central locking control as well. You have cab blinds on the side windows. Pinch and draw the units across. It's a similar operation for the front windscreen blind, then connected via a magnetic strip onto the opposing unit. Make sure that they are locked back firmly in position before departure. And on AutoSleepers, they give you a departure checklist located on the door. The double bed arrangement in an AutoSleeper Stanway is as follows. There are infill cushions which are put along the back when the back seat is brought forward. Note that the infill cushion on the left hand side has a slight indentation in it. This is designed to fit around that specific moulding that's located there. Use the existing base cushion in its original position, and then the backrest cushion which supports the back of it alongside. The rear upright facing cushion is located on the floor on top of the table, and then another infill cushion is along there. There's one final cushion which is pushed in behind the pushed forward cab seats. That has a hard back on it with a slight indentation at one end, and that then completes the double bed arrangement. To deconstruct or construct, remove the infill cushions first off. This also is an infill, whereas the other two remained attached to the existing framework. So note that this one's got the indentation in it to go around that back moulding. With this table removed, you can see the access to the top of the fuse box and also the tank heater isolation switch. Slide that forward facing system back over. Down in this box you also have your 12 volt and mains controls, which we will have already explained to you earlier on in the video. On the back of the forward facing backrest there is an additional cushion. That one's removed so that it can fit around the framework of the seatbelt mounts. So with the base cushion moved back over and the framework slid back in, you should be able to then reposition with the seat belts around the cushion, that one into there, and then with this framework back and push back into position, then you're able then to secure the other backrest cushion and then extend the table back up.